All right, it's another episode of
Online Leftists!
Capy, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm hanging in there today.
Okay, so today we are going to have a general episode covering the Red Scare 2.0, instigated by Hasan Piker wearing his quote-unquote Mao suit to address the DSA convention. Have you seen some of this, the fallout with conservative, centrists, and progressive Democrats sort of rehashing and relitigating Cold War talking points about the People's Republic of China, the Great Leap Forward, Mao Zedong, etc.?
I actually haven't seen it personally. The only thing I had seen of it was a single Facebook post from somebody who was saying, "Oh, look, he's wearing a Mao uniform, which looks like an SS uniform. He might as well put a swastika on it," and that's literally it.
I think that I have a tweet in here somewhere. I don't know if I copied it down or not, but I saw another like Democratic orbiter basically saying that Hasan Piker affects Fuentes during the day during his stream. He cosplays Nick Fuentes during his streams, and then he cosplays Mao when he's Democratic sheepdogging. I was like, what the fuck is the commentary about this is pretty. So first and foremost, I would like to say fuck Hasan Piker. Just to make my position clear, I don't think you or I are really endorsing of the type of democratic sheepdoggery that.
No, we've criticized Hasan many times on this stream.
What is the official Capy and Glowie line on Hasan Piker? Just is he an opportunist in the pure sense, or is he a person who has resigned himself to just trying to go for iterative progressive policy from a type of revolutionary resignation? Yeah,
I mean, I consider him to be a liberal. Whether or not he's an opportunist depends. I think that some of the things that he talks about is basically, because like we've talked about, he tries to kind of do a balance to keep his followers, in which he has a lot of liberal followers and a lot of way more radical followers. And when he goes too far in one of those directions, he alienates a section of his follower base. And so it's a constant kind of juggling thing to try and maintain a centrist line in order not to lose followers.
I do think that he's experiencing audience capture, where he does have a lot of Democrat orbiters and likely Democrat voters. I would say roughly half of his audience that give him extreme pushback when he says something that is not in line with American State Department policy or directly contravenes Democratic foreign policy, such as Ukraine or something. Yeah. Anytime he says something sort of based, he gets pushback from his audience, which makes me think, would he not then be more extreme? And you categorize him as a liberal. I think he's a big mystery. I don't think he is quite a liberal necessarily. I do not think that he thinks that capitalism is good and then the enfranchisement of private property is the best metric for prosperity for people, right? I don't think that he thinks that necessarily. And to continue, I don't think that he toes the liberal line with foreign policy, right? I would say he's pretty reliably an anti-American campist.
Well, you could consider him to be a soft socialist, but he is sort of a democratic socialist. So yes, that's why I would call him a liberal. I'll put it like this. He has not fully deconstructed his liberal worldview yet.
Or I think that it is possible, and just playing devil's advocate, I think it is possible to recognize the validity of other systems and not see the current potential for them right now. And he may be suffering from the idea of linear progress domestically as like sort of socialism as a progressive tendency that will grow and inevitably become more popular over time. And I don't see that. That doesn't seem to be how history works out.
Not here.
Not here. Yeah. Well, yeah. In many places too, because the contravening counter revolution, the capitalist mechanism cinched down on it. They are not impassive actors. That is sort of like the pushback I give to like sort of like trots and like communizers who see the world as a sort of that it is inevitable and 100% true that increasing contradictions in capitalism will lead to material conditions that foment and immanentize revolution. I don't necessarily, they look at it like a thing, but I'm like, okay, here's the deal though. The State Department has also read Marx. And they are working in a contravening fashion to cramp down on your ability to be injurious to the status quo.
Yeah.
They're installing flock cams everywhere. They're putting they are normalizing surveillance technology that allows them to see in real time what's going on in your phone, where you are, turn on the microphone, see where your car is, get that data from the automakers. I saw a thing recently, all of modern cars of the modern domestic manufacturers have a box in their car that effectively sends back home, even if your car is completely paid off, that it basically relays all of your GPS and travel data back to the dealership effectively, that they give away for almost nothing. They effectively make like Honda installs this component in your car, and then they sell it to third-party brokers and stuff like that. And they effectively make, for every car that they sell for, like, let's say $20,000, $25,000, $30,000, they'll make like $3 off selling your GPS data. And you wonder, damn, they're just in the surveillance capital for the love of the game. The cars aren't even being it's like domestic lobbyists who force them to sort of like do this, I guess, or I don't know what it is. They're not even making money on it. But however, the government has all that. So I see that even as material conditions worsen, the government's ability in this sort of digital panopticon really withers away about a revolutionary potential.
Yeah, and the people need to fight for socialism. It is not inevitable. Like, theoretically speaking, it's the next phase of human development. Like, there's no doubt about it. But the people have to fight for it. The working class needs to abolish capitalism. And if they don't, or if they can't and they fail to, then you don't have socialism.
Right. Yeah, there's definitely, yes, I agree. And it needs stewards. That's why I'm a vanguardist. I think that the nascent, spontaneous human rejection of the status quo needs to be stewarded. It needs gardeners to help it grow the right way into the party form that can be prolific, win power, and perpetuate policy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. So officially, we do not have a coherent line on Hasan Piker. You think he's a liberal, a soft socialist liberal, a sock dem.
Yeah.
He's a sock dem. Okay. I think that's pretty fair. However, I think that a lot of sock dems have dog shit foreign policy too, because they are beneficiaries of imperialism. And I will say towards that end, I think he's a soft campist I don't even think he's a soft campist. He's pretty reliably has good foreign policy. He's
an outlier, but he's not fully beyond the scope of DemSoc yet.
Okay. Yeah, okay. I don't know what I tell you what, chat, I don't know what the fuck to think about Hasan Piker. I very often think about that. He was raised very recently in our Discord, which you can get to in the link tree, RedArmyCapybara. So whatever the fuck it is, it's in the link tree. You'll see a Discord there, and RedArmyCapybara's link tree. It's in the show notes. In there, somebody had brought up, we were talking specifically about Infrared Haas and how he's a weird thing because he is a de jure streamer who clip farms and memes and jokes, but he's also a chairman of a party that is trying to be respectable.
Yeah.
Which is a weird fucking connection.
You can't do that.
However, I think that Hasan might be able to.
He's a lot more... Yeah. I think he'd be able to juggle that far better, if I'm honest.
I think so.
And I don't like either of these guys, but if I was going to put my money on somebody to do that in a manner that actually, it would be Hasan.
It would be Hasan, yeah. There's another one. There's also Nick Fuentes that you have to watch out for. I think that he is very capable to run an organization. It would be one that we would detest.
I think so too, yeah. Unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah, I think he's a fucking big issue. I don't think people give him... You either need to do something immediately about him or just like completely shut him out. But the problem is he's so reliable as far as clip farming, people keep fucking platforming him.
Oh yeah. I see him everywhere. It's unfortunate.
There was just a Channel 5 interview with it's not Andrew Schultz, Andrew Callahan in Channel 5. I was seeing clips of it that like here's I saw Marxists, liberals, and fascists sharing clips of this because it was a conversation between Hunter Biden and Nick Fuentes. I was like, oh God, why do they keep doing this? TPH messaged me, or actually I messaged TPH. TPH did a post on his story or a post or something else like that where he was talking about Chat may remember TPH. We did a Patreon stream about him, the black pill incel fucking Marxist, I guess, for lack of a better term. He did a post castigating people who take what he called a liberal line about dealing with fash. So, Capy, so in the TPH discourse that I had with him, TPH did a post that said, very many people on the left take the liberal position of not platforming or not engaging with the third position, nazbols, or fascist, and that communism is also a pushed underground movement. And I was like, okay, bro, like, first of all, no, just because, okay, communism has been pushed underground, so are the cartels, so we should fucking platform cartel members. I don't know about that. That's not a good rationale. It's a completely contradictory thing. So what I messaged him was effectively, you're not really thinking about these fascists, and I have personal experience with this on Twitch poll. They are half serious. You can't pin them down on anything. And when you platform, they use it as an opportunity to clip farm, grow clout, make jokes at your expense, use your platform to say fucking derogatory things about ethnic groups or whatever, which are very popular with a lot of edgy, quote unquote, liberals. Edgy liberals love following edgy boys. And that's ultimately because they have been removed from the immediacy of the issues with fascism. For them, they just seem like uncouth counterculture people.
Yeah,
they don't really have a good read on it. So it's like when you debate them, you're giving them opportunities to fucking clip farm like a motherfucker, and then you're going to feel dumb afterwards. And then these clips exist in perpetuity of people clip farming with your sort of shocked face in the background. Don't give them that opportunity. They live to rage bait, to make clips, and they live in a pocket of the discourse that's completely outrage.
Yeah.
They're 100% outrage oriented, and I don't think that we should be in the business of facilitating their outrage.
No, I've always held the line that you don't platform fascists. That's not what we do as communists. It's crazy.
Yeah, just because you're just, especially as a streamer or like a paneler, you're just giving them opportunities to grow their clout. That's ultimately what it is. I don't necessarily see a de jure National Socialist movement being effective in America. I think our fascism has a different characteristic here, right? So it's not really that issue. The issue is like interpersonally, you're going to grow their channel by having them on a panel.
Yeah. No, yeah, I can understand what you're saying, yeah.
Capy, you have some reservations. It looks like you want to panel some fucking natsocks.
I would never. No, I don't. I wouldn't do that. I have brought people up in my lives before, and the moment that I find out they're a Nazi, bye-bye. You know what I mean? Yeah. I also believe you. I don't think we should debate Zionists either.
True.
Fuck that.
Because it makes you take at face level inhumanizing or dehumanizing rhetoric.
Yeah, and also I'm not going to give these people the space to even try and attempt to rationalize their views, because I don't want anybody who is confused, new to this stuff, I don't want anybody in my life to be convinced of their argument. So I just shut it down. And
there's also a component of social bullying involved too. We do have to sort of, which is sort of like what people are trying to do with ACP right now. They are making a social litmus test by which, if you were seen as sympathetic or playing devil's advocate for that sort of Pat Sock-Taylor's position, as some people might call it, or whatever, they are trying to create a moral hazard or a moral panic by which it's an easily denounceable thing to deter people, to chill conversation about it. I don't necessarily think that's a valid tact with the ACP necessarily. It doesn't really hurt my feelings that much. However, I do think that would be important for like fascists and Zionists, or what's the difference, right?
Yeah.
Because you have to show chat that doing this makes you not being taken seriously, and that you get blocked, castigated, banned. They have to see like, oh, that's like a fucking third rail position. Fuck that. They have to. It's monkey see, monkey do, and they have to see how those people get treated.
Honestly, I don't care if people do that to the ACP so long as they're targeting people who are actually ACP, and not just random people who, nowadays anything people don't like is ACP. You call someone a liberal, it's an ACP insult. You say
I've literally
that
seen that in your comment section.
No, I know you got into an argument with them. Yeah,
I think MC did. Yeah, or so. I was there.
Both of you were like, "What the fuck, bro?"
Yeah, no, like that's a standard ML epithet, calling someone a fucking lib when they're saying lib shit. Yeah, that's not an ACP tactic. But
when I say that,
are these people new to Marxism?
I think a lot of them are.
Yeah,
I think a lot of them are, but it's bad because a lot of the geopolitical positions that I hold, people will be like, "Are you ACP?" And I'll be like, "Why would you even think that?" And then they're like, "Because you're like, pro axis of resistance," and it's like
you're not Islamophobic like all the Democrats are.
No, yeah, it's dude. Just fucking jumped up here and knocked all my shit
I see that.
around.
Your cat is wrecking. Liberal
yeah,
wrecker,
he is.
Your cat.
Fucking Mossad over here. Mossad cat trying to fucking destroy my pod recorder and my mic.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, anyway,
foreign policy.
You should, like, there are positions that we as Marxist-Leninists hold that the ACP holds. And our criticisms of the ACP shouldn't be the correct positions. It should be all of the incorrect positions. Their views on decolonization, their views on land back, the bigotry of their leadership, their method of trying to, of essentially tailing Republicans with the MAGA commune.
There are good critiques of ACP to be had, of which you and me have had many. For people who are like listening, I don't know, coming away from a conclusion where you or me are pro ACP, of which there seems to be a little bit of a moral panic and trend going around right now that I don't really want to speak to too much.
I said this. I'm upset that anybody who has followed me for the last 3 years and engaged with me would ever suggest that, with the amount of times that we on the live streams have talked about Jay Sakai's work, Settlers, and Dr. Gerald Horn's analysis of the American Revolution as a counter-revolution, and Frantz Fanon and Land Back, and I'm like, holy shit, how could you get that idea from watching my videos?
Support for the Black Panther Party and the New African Republic and
exactly
various things, and it's very interesting too because a lot of these new Marxist woke skull id pol espousing people kind of chased MC, which was one of my favorite creators. He acted like a little cantankerous Reddit mod a little bit to people. He had sort of a shrill affect that did seem kind of like neckbeardish. However,
he was a bit mean.
The information that he had about DPRK and the particulars about China foreign policy and inter-Chinese, without being too reductive in what he was in his talking points, he was able to defend the ML position almost better in that regard than anybody else. You, Valk, and MC are like so solid. And sort of spurious accusations about him being pro-ACP or ACP adjacent, even though he's fucking Canadian.
He said he wasn't, too. Like, over and over again.
Over and over again, yeah. There has existed for as long as I've been in the TikTok space and communism, this sort of moral panic about the ACP. From people who don't seem to know Haas until, God, that fucking MAGA communism was such a misstep, huh?
It was stupid. They're dumb for that.
I don't know. It was like a rhetorically devastating thing. And no matter how much they try to distance themselves from it, they're castigated. They're like, basically, you can't be pro-Trump and a communist. Is like, well, that's not really their position. Are you ACP? No, I'm not. Trust me. I'm not. Those guys probably talk a bunch of shit about me in group chats.
That's what MC got in trouble for, because MC said, look, some of these critiques aren't valid. And then he gave his own criticism of the methodology, by the way, which a lot of people ignored. But because he had first said, no, look, that critique's not a good one, here's an actual critique, people only heard the first part and went, oh, he's ACP.
No, but I've seen the litany of people bring up, they're fascist, they're this, they're that. I'm like, well, that's not really a good argument. They're not communists. I'm like, I think they're communists. They're just kind of
bad ones. You can be a bad communist. Like, you can be a bad communist. And
there's a bunch of bad communists.
Dude, well, I was going to say the American labor movement throughout history has had a shit ton of bad communists, including the CPUSA. A shit ton.
The whole New Left,
right,
the Frankfurt School,
too.
the fucking Russian Institute. I mean, there's been all sorts of... I think the main issue is that ACP is sort of working. That's the main thing. You would have thought the moral panic would have stopped, but they're opening more chapters all the time. They have like chapters in 27 states now. Mm-hmm. You know, to which extent that they are, it could just be one dude in the state. For all
I don't think it. From what I understand, their membership, which is another reason why I can't believe people give it so much attention, their membership is fairly low compared to other communist organizations in this country. In fact, I think the IWW has a larger membership than the ACP last time I checked.
I would hope so. They're 100-year-old fucking organization, Capy.
They also got dismantled though, like in the 1920s, you know, by the feds. But it's, you know, I mean, if you don't like the ACP, the best thing you could do is criticize them from a legitimate standpoint of their positions, and then not engage in the moral panic that is going to bring attention to them. Instead, you could recommend people other communist parties like the PSL, like the FRSO, or whatever it may be. There's a bunch of parties out there. None of them are doing what they need to be doing, but there are some I like more than others, and I will put that out there now that I have had good experiences with the PSL, and I like the FRSO, you know? PSL just don't answer their fucking calls.
Okay, so I actually have a bunch of clips here. So now that we got that out of the way, it's just sort of in the zeitgeist. People are talking about it. I've seen a lot of bedwetting about it. Some mistakes because of some devil's advocate prompts I did where I said I had a live where I said that the ACP is better than the Democrats, which seems to me like a non-controversial position for anyone Marxist adjacent. They're like, well, why endorse them? This is not an endorsement. What I'm saying is the ACP is better than the Democrats, who are like liberal, imperialist, fucking like fash-enabling or just straight left-wing fash. I don't know what the fuck you want to call it, but the ACP is definitely, their foreign policy is better. I would argue their domestic policy is better. And you can probably find more Democrats waving the fucking flag than you do in the fucking ACP.
It also might be noting that live streams on TikTok are fully recorded by TikTok, and there was a lot of criticism of the ACP and talk about settler colonialism, and then learning about China and its relationships with the rest of the world that went on in that live. So it's kind of, if you stuck around for more than a fucking second and looked beyond the prompt, people would quickly realize that was not a pro-ACP live.
Well, definitely, especially on top of me having access to all of my VODs where I can like sort of disprove erroneous claims that I've seen in the air about stuff that I said or positions that I had. A lot of these deranged, woke scold, fucking recent progressive Democrat identitarians also like record my stream as it's happening and then misquote it somehow. So why don't you unask some of those receipts that you hang on to because of your mental instability or whatever and debunk your own fucking rhetoric about me? Yeah. Since you, like a stalker, record all of my lives, why don't you actually hit the rewind button and actually quote me correctly is sort of how I would address recent criticisms. But above and beyond that, Capy, I have some clips here. You want to hear some clips?
Yeah. Let's hop into it.
So Hasan, what is the Senkai set? What is the suit called?
Oh, it starts with a Z. I forget how to say it. It wasn't just Mao that wore it, but Sun Yat-sen did as well.
Sun Yat-sen. Did I conflate Shanghai? Who's the fucking?
You did put Chiang Kai-shek and Sun Yat-sen together, but
I'm a very dumb Westerner, Capy. I apologize for my.
I don't know
ignorance.
how to say this. I think it's the Zhongshan.
Zhongshan? Yeah, it's like a 5-panel suit that is meant to typify the positions of, it is an East meets West piece of garb that was specifically designed to embody the 5-point or with 5 panels, the type of the 5-point domestic policy of the PRC.
Yes, yep. And it is referred to as the Sun Yat-sen suit.
And also like the Shang or something. What is it?
That's I believe it would be Shongshen. I'm
Okay.
Again, I don't speak Mandarin, so.
Okay. So here is a clip. Is this going to be not loud enough? This is not going to be loud enough. Where is the speech? Okay, Hasan Piker delivers Hitler-style rant and a Mao Zedong. So here's from a Twitter account called DSA Watch, which I think is very funny. So this is right-wing bedwetting, as opposed to the sort of left-wing bedwetting that I usually get in my chat. Here's some right-wing bedwetting, talking about Hasan Piker delivers Hitler-style rant in Mao Zedong suit. Okay, so this is him. What, Capy, did you watch any of this? What is this?
No,
a college Democrat. So apparently he did a speech in the 5-panel suit, the quote-unquote Mao Zedong suit, College Democrats of America 2026 Summer Convention. So I had seen this a while ago, and it seemed like it took about a week for the moral panic about it to sort of kick up.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't see any clips from this, so I'm going into it blind.
Let's listen to this.
No more to Trumpism, but no more to the Democrats who compromise, who conciliate, and who betray us.
Capy, look at this gavel.
No more to the fascist reactionaries, but no more to the Democrats who will collaborate and cooperate with the fascists, who will fund ICE, who will fund Israel, who will help poison the planet, who will stiff workers and help bosses. We don't need those Democrats anymore. In fact, we have a message. We are coming. We are unbossed, we're unbought, we're unbound, and we will become undeniable. Thank you.
Okay, it looked like the audience really liked that, except for this one bald guy.
Yeah. Yeah. My question is, how the fuck is that Hitler-esque?
I don't know. That's a good question.
What did they hear there that I did?
Did he mention Israel?
Well, yeah.
Okay, well, that's it.
That's
Hitlerian.
Fucking ridiculous, because that, like, come on now. I think it's an insane thing for this page to call that Hitler-esque. I mean, I think there's nothing he said there that was unagreeable.
That is weird. So wait, these are social conservatives calling, it says literally, I'm a Democrat. Tracking the DSA and DSA allowing to elected officials, chapters, dark money, and policies. The DSA, the insidious DSA policies and dark money of the DSA from a Democrat, by the way.
Yeah.
So this is a corpo dem, an establishment dem, which is not synonymous with the N-word. Have you seen any of that rhetoric?
No.
They're basically saying there are very many people who are weaponizing race in the Democratic, the DCCC, and they're basically saying establishment Democrats is basically you're using it as a substitute for saying the N-word.
Oh, okay. I have not seen that.
Okay, so I don't even know what to say about that other than I've never seen such a bad faith weaponization of like cynical class or cynical race politics in my life than saying, unless you vote for, if you call a black Democrat, a Democrat who happens to be black, an establishment Dem for holding the establishment line and taking AIPAC money and all that, you're basically using the N-word.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
That's the line. I mean, that's their new talking point. So so I'm assuming it's this type of corpo establishment Dem who's castigating the DSA for having more rational policies, I guess. Still sheepdogging. I mean, literally, look at how they treat people who are literally there to sheepdog for them.
Yeah.
All of these people are there, in effect, to help narratives and talking points to getting people to fucking vote for Democrats, and look how Democrats cynically treat them.
To actually salvage capitalism, to salvage liberalism, to make it better able to survive by giving people bread and circuses. That's the thing. Like, these people are actually more aligned with just like liberals ideologically than with actual socialists. You would think that the Democrats would be all about that, but
Yeah. So here's another clip from them. Hasan Piker, Mao Zedong is one of the great leaders in this world. This also caused a lot of reactions. Okay, so a lot of the vitriol and the Red Scare 2.0 things that we're going to see is because of that speech that we heard, the suit that he was wearing, and then also this clip, the resurfaced, troubling clip from Hasan Piker.
I got stopped by a cop who thought I was like making fun of Mao Zedong, which I never would.
He's speaking in particular. I'm going to restart the clip. So he's talking about his time he went to China, and he was stopped by a police officer, a Chinese officer, and they were like looking at his phone and like holding up a meme of like Mao or something else like that, which they read as like making fun of him or something. I don't know.
I got stopped by a cop who thought I was like making fun of Mao Zedong, which I never would. And never will. Mao Zedong is a one of the great leaders of this world. Okay, a man who changed the entire universe, the entire planet. Okay, for real. Yes, I mean there was a lot of fucking excesses. Let's be real, but the People's Republic of China would not exist without Mao Zedong.
Were there excesses ever really done as part of Mao, or did Mao instigate like a second revolution that he could not fully control?
Well, I think it's weird to put excesses on any single individual, because any excesses there were not just the fault. Mao Zedong didn't do anything single-handedly, right?
So you're saying it's not a single actor that's necessarily to blame, but the collective?
The party itself, yeah.
It's the collective that's at fault, like literally.
Yeah, because Mao Zedong
underline that collective is the issue.
Yeah, it is, because Mao Zedong didn't just stand up and go, all right, this is what we're doing. Everyone follow my orders. That's not how it worked. The Communist Party of China had a collective leadership, and they came to decisions through strict principles of democratic centralism. So were there excesses? Absolutely. Can we attribute them directly to Mao Zedong, the individual? No, it would be the whole Communist Party.
You also see it happening with Stalin. Stalin personally did this. Stalin, this one individual chairman of whom was a single representative on a council that had a largely honorific position of a first among equals. He's personally is a tyrannical despot in his central committee that stands atop a dozen other committees that collectively came up with policies that are uniquely and independently assigned to him.
People will bring up situations where Stalin didn't even know about the thing, and upon finding out about it, punish the people who did it, and they'll blame Stalin for it. And it's like, I don't know, the guy's not magic, right? Like, he literally did.
This happened specifically, you were talking about that one letter about the excesses of some of the Bolsheviks in shooting some Ukrainians or something. There was...
even outside of that, people bring up like what was it called? The Nazino affair, for which was, again, this was a failure of like, it was a failure of the plan, but also a lot of the excesses there were attributable. How could I put it? A lot of the excesses there, or let me put it like this. There was a failure to actually carry out the plan, but upon the central government finding that out, they called the plan off. It wasn't like Stalin evilly, was being evil and concocted a plan to send people here or there and provide them none of this and none of that. Like, no, like there's a whole chain of command. There's a whole government system from local levels up to, the top levels, and things even though it's extremely centralized, not everything is making it to Stalin every day. Right.
So it's like, it's not me personally, Globoid, who's responsible. It's the collective cadre.
Well, for what?
I don't know. Just stuff.
It really depends. But
anyway, let's get into this.
Of course, when we talk about a government, it's hard to put unless we're talking about an absolute dictatorship. You know what I mean?
Like the United States.
Or like a king that makes decisions and everyone has to follow it.
Stalin was president when the Dust Bowl happened. Who was president?
Attribute certain things to individual leaders. Absolutely.
FDR was a monster. He fucking personally blew fucking sand up the ass of very many people.
I mean, I do
in
think
the
FDR
Southwest.
was a monster.
He fucking personally, malevolently, he was like the monster in The Mummy, Ramses, when he came as that fucking, the spooky fucking cloud of fucking sand. He personally transformed himself into a malevolent sandstorm and then attacked the western portion of the United States.
He very well might have. But
yes.
I think my point stands that, right, if it's a policy that was voted on by the party, it was constructed by multiple different people, it's put into effect, it turns out to not work and has adverse effects, how do we blame a single individual for that?
You know what we should do? We should recreate. What the fuck is that movie with the 7 plagues or whatever, the biblical fucking narrative?
I have no
Moses, idea. Who they Passover? They had to smear blood on the wall, and then they took all the firstborn sons. We should remake the Holodomor as a biblical plague. First the Stalin descends, the malevolent, omnipresent god of Stalin descends, and he uses his firebending capabilities to fucking force the kulaks to burn their grain. Well, and then like a Moloch type sacrifice he demands, 80,000 drive animals be murdered by collaborationist fucking kulaks.
Yeah, didn't you know Stalin single-handedly went around just murdering all of the draft animals?
Yeah. With a hammer and sickle. Brutal.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fucking the most brutal. Anyways. Okay. David Pakman, this shit lib, he was going into it. Republicans back in 2010, their leaders laughed at the Tea Party. They're far right internet trolls. They're not going to be able to do anything. And then the Tea Party took over local organizations, threatened primaries, built their own media universe, and eventually gave us Donald Trump. The left and the Democrats can't make the same mistake. There's a small group of far left extremists gaining influence inside youth groups and party organizations because they spend all day online organizing and enforcing ideological purity and attacking anyone who disagrees. He's a liberal Zionist, by the way.
Yes. Yeah.
He's like an unabashed pro-Israeli Democrat who thinks of himself as like some sort of progressive. Anyways, I'm not talking about the people who want Medicare for all and affordable housing. I want that stuff. These are folks who treat political warfare like a full-time job, and when they anyways. And when they can't build their own coalition, they attach themselves to popular causes, and they take real concerns about healthcare, housing, police misconduct, and use them to sell what is actually an authoritarian worldview. My one hesitation about confronting this now is, and why I went back and forth, publicly exposing the rot could make moderate voters think the entire Democrat Party has been infected. Oh my God, it's rot. This is fascistic language.
Yeah,
This is like, there was very much a component of hygiene to Nazi rhetoric about like talking about immigrants like some sort of insect or like rot. They're talking about things I don't agree with is like a rotten core to something. And lest we talk about this insidious, gross, more socially progressive position, by the way, like this disgusting rot that is constituted of people who have better politics than me. Disgusting. It's like black mold growing in my house. These people who are smarter and have better politics. Yeah. Disgusting. My one hesitation, thinks the entire the party has been infected, and I don't think silence is really going to hide it. I saw a crazy thing this weekend where there was a college Democrats convention. It was DSA. A college DSA convention, to correct him. Hasan Piker was dressed like Mao. I guess Destiny tried to show up and he was banned from entering. Why wouldn't the DSA ban fucking Destiny from entering? How many times has Destiny had Nick Fuentes in his room?
Yeah.
Like several times, like opens up his house, like feeding Nick Fuentes. Like Destiny is like basically a Republican at this point.
Yeah, he's
an overt pro-colonial, pro-imperialist, pro-capitalist. He doesn't even identify as a progressive.
No, he's a neoliberal who fucking platforms fascists. Fuck him.
And not only that, he calls himself the omni-liberal. He's like, every type of liberal, that's what I am. He's like, I'm not just whatever. I'm like, any negative thing that you have to say about liberals, it applies to me. I don't think anybody's actually ever confronted Destiny and be like, are you pro-colonialism or not? Mm-hmm. No one asks good follow-up questions to people because I think that's very important. And I think that most people would be shocked, even of like progressive Democrats. And we were talking about this earlier, and even like most like British Marxists. Hey, are you against colonialization? A lot of them, because they're anti-Irish, say not necessarily. They've been encultured to like colonialism. They have been encultured that, look, there may have been some missteps, but I think British colonialism in India was okay. Basically, that they have been raised under that perception. I think very many Americans are encultured to also reflexively defend American interventionism for pro-democracy purposes.
Oh, sure. They do it all the time.
And Destiny has all those positions. So why the fuck would DSA members want Destiny, the fucking sex pestiny, around? I don't understand. Plus, he's literally a creep.
Yeah. No, I'm all for like not letting that dude in. Fuck him.
I'm all for like doing way worse to him.
I will say though, during the stuff here in Jersey and Newark for ICE, Hasan showed up in a suit with like a whole like group of people protecting him, walked through the crowd really quick, and then left. It's like, bro, why'd you even show up? Yeah, like at Delaney Hall.
Like that one clip of Kanye going like, well, that's different. See, Kanye was oroforming in a different way. He was like told his security to sit back, and he went like this to the crowd, and everybody parted for him, and he just like walked through. I was like, that is aura.
I just feel like it's almost kind of cynical. It's like, what, you do this for a photo op and video op so you could stream it real quick and act like you were actually here, because you walked away and then the cops started gassing and beating and shooting people.
He's a
with rubber
very
bullets.
busy man. Look, he has to read what is to be done on the train. He's like, look, can he help it that there's people there and he's often engaging in activities that look very cool? Not everything's a cynical photo op. He was just there for a leisurely stroll. There just happened to be an anti-ICE protest going on right there.
Yeah, but at the perfect time, during the day before they started to shoot my friends with rubber bullets.
At least he showed up.
I guess.
I don't think I've seen the ACP at anti-ICE protests.
No, they
or
weren't
ever
there.
Mention it.
No, and you're right. They were not. In fact, I have never seen the ACP, even since they've been a thing. Because a lot of the stuff I've been to is before they were a thing. But since they've been a thing, I didn't even see the ACP in D.C. at the Palestine protests when I went. I saw a lot of trot organizations, SALT, IMT. You had like the PSL, you had the. I think possibly the FRSO and CPUSA, but no ACP.
I think one of the biggest condemnations of the ACP is it's what they omit to make what they're saying more palatable to like settler socialists, to American settlers. And I do think that is troubling because it leads them to have what might be seen as establishment narratives, which are all the same condemnation I would have about Democrats. Like, how are you better than the Democrats if you won't vocally oppose ICE?
Sure. Yeah. No, we have to be on the front lines. It should be the communists feeding the people who cannot leave their houses because they fear getting kidnapped. We should be bringing them food. We should be helping them with funds to help their family get the legal counsel that they need, lawyers to defend themselves against the U.S. courts. So the communists need to be on the front line of confronting the ICE issue, or else what the fuck are we good for?
You were a former Wobbly. What is the Wobbly's position? I have seen, and I think a good critique of the American labor movement, especially in the 50s, 60s, and early 70s, was that it was sort of geared towards the labor aristocracy, which is largely white. Right?
Yeah.
How much of that dynamic existed in the Wobblies that you saw were sort of reflexively, they sort of would key language to be more receptive to what might be perceived as labor aristocrats?
In the modern day, not so much. Back in the day, they possibly did that. But I think one thing that's important is that the reason why the IWW formed, one of the reasons, was because the American Federation of Labor and other trade unions did bar black folks and Chicanos,
overtly.
Latinos.
Yeah.
And so the IWW, when they started, they said, well, first of all, we're an industrial union, not a trade union. And second of all, you're all welcome in our union because you're working class people, and we will fight for working class people regardless of your ethnicity, your nationality, whatever, your religion. It didn't, even your politics. Obviously, they don't let fascists in, but the IWW is made up of anarchists. Soft leftists, soft socialists,
so I say
Marxists.
Right. I asked that to ask this. Is ACP's reticence to talk about ICE because they take the issue that undocumented Americans are a net negative for American workers?
Yeah, I think that's why they do it, because they are tailing Republicans. You don't have to do that, by the way. There are tons of industrial working class people from the Midwest, the South, the Rust Belt in the IWW. And I feel like it's underestimating the intelligence of the proletariat when people say, no, you can't teach them that it's not okay to say the N-word because they're backward, right? Or they're from here. Or no, you can teach them that. You can have an open and honest conversation with them and calmly explain to them why they shouldn't do that and give them the history behind the term and the impact that it has on black folks. I
don't know. I mean, as far as this, here's where it seems to be organizationally useful. While you're representing this union, don't say reactionary bullshit that can be used against the fucking union, and at least implement the idea of the head, like, oh, that's not okay to say socially. No, dog. And definitely not when you're wearing a shirt or a logo or anything. Don't say any fucking weirdo shit. It's definitely going to be taken. You're going to be every reactionary thing you as an individual member says will be held against the fucking party. And somebody should have given Jackson Hinkle that fucking memo.
Oh, I wouldn't. They're nuts for even allowing him to maintain membership in that party. It's a detriment to the party.
I think so.
They're fucking goofy for that.
Yeah, it's weird. Okay, Republicans. Here's going back to David Pakman. Republicans are going to put these clips everywhere. They're going to abolish the police and abolish prisons and abolish borders and play them on a loop for 6 months. This is David Pakman, establishment Democrat. I'm not calling him the N-word. I'm not doing that. He's an establishment Democrat, and he's a corpo dem who's a Zionist, now calling the DSA an insidious rot inside the Democrat Party because Hasan Piker wore a snappy suit. Capy, would you rock one of those suits? I low-key think that it is aura-farming to wear that suit.
I like them. I don't know how great I would look in one, but I would, sure, why not?
For a portrait or something?
I'd rock one. Yeah, absolutely.
You could commission a painting of you in that suit.
I could just Photoshop it.
Yeah. I mean, we should get that going.
We have one of you in the Stalin suit. It's excellent. It looks like a real painting. I'm about to print it out and put it on my wall.
Can they since I've lost like 50 pounds, could you maybe use a different photo?
You have to. SOCOM is the one who made that. I'll talk to him about it.
I think my hair is more photogenic now. You know what I mean? The beard came in thicker.
But you look like Stalin in that photo. It's
a little bit. I see. Yeah, I had a mustache, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's that. There's another establishment Dem. Here's another guy to every Democrat politician touting DSA primary wins as proof of party is a big tent. Listen closely to anti-Semitic Twitch influencer Hasan Piker of the Weekend College Democrats of America convention. He is not, quote unquote, energizing the base. He's declaring war on any Democrats who, quote, compromise, who conciliate, and who betray the revolution by funding ICE, supporting Israel, or working with fascists. True. Imagine being that being contentious.
I know.
We don't need those Democrats anymore. We heard him when he said that. The new left doesn't want accommodation or coalition. They want to purge you, take over, and run it themselves. Yes.
Yeah.
Good.
Very good.
Guys literally suck. The Democrats literally facilitate fascism and imperialism as a matter of course every single day.
The Democrats aren't left, and it's because of this is why when people accuse me of being a leftist, I am not a leftist. I'm a communist.
Let's get into this one. So here's another progressive Democrat. So this is some of the fallout. Oh, there's also other shit. There's also fucking other shit. I don't know how much we got into. Well, I'll throw these links in. I'm not going to get into there. Sean Hannity did a new segment, Republican bedwetting, about it. Here's an article about Fox News, basically going over what a alarmist right wing position would be about, the fucking insidious peril of communism in the Democrat Party. Blah blah blah. We'll throw those in here. I think we only really have time to watch a couple of these TikToks and then we'll get out of here. But we'll throw them all in. I think it's good. People will benefit from it. So here is this guy.
Hi, I'm not a tanky. The atrocities of Chairman Mao, are we ignoring those? Do we think he did enough good that it dwarfs those? Or are we rationalizing them away somehow? I need to know how we are dealing with history to pretend that this is cool.
So this is a likely Democrat. This is a Democrat orbiter reflexively appropriating Cold War era talking points about Mao to save the Democrat Party from the insidious socialists.
Yeah. My first thought about this is that if this was a serious video, somebody who was actually curious about that and inquiring about the so-called atrocities of Mao, they would have named a couple and actually made an attempt. This is for clicks. This is for likes. This is a surface level, nonsensical. This is I'm going to make a quick 15-second video and throw it up to nab some fucking likes and shares from people who hate Chairman Mao.
I think it's earnest. I think that the Americans have internal. I do. I believe 100% that very many black Democrats are sick to death of fucking white leftists and just want immediate policies for harm reduction right now. They're sick to death of the fucking Palestine protesters. They're mad as fuck about Kamala not winning. They're fucking literally pissed. And for them, this is another egregious action. Like, why are we pretending like imminent socialist revolution is possible in America? I just don't want a racist Republican being fucking voted in as my Congress rep.
I don't think he's saying that.
I think that's the impetus for this. It's a black Democrat voter who's pissed about white leftists LARPing online in Mao suits.
Fair. That's fair. It is an interesting choice of suit for Hasan too. But what that what I mean? What atrocities? If you mention them, we can earnestly talk about them.
He knows Mao equals bad. He knows evil, autocratic. Yeah. He's using Cold War fucking baseline for reality. I thought we all understood that Stalin was evil and killed 100 quadrillion people. He's doing reflexive black book of communism talking points that Americans internalized.
Talked about this before. Anti-communism has become quote unquote common sense. And if you do not view it for common sense that needs no proof or evidence, then you're insane, tinfoil hat, crazy. You know what I mean?
They think these in his comment section. They think those weren't atrocities. They think it's base. 79 likes. They're rationalizing them away. 1 like. If someone calling them Fed posts, that's a good one. Yeah, definitely. Although the numbers of deaths are incredibly exaggerated, and not even considering the Democrats ignore the death toll of Western imperialism, dwarfing the number. Okay, true. They could come up with during the Cultural Revolution. You would be hard pressed to find any serious ML who didn't criticize Mao for his actions in the later years of political influence. I think that's fair. It's a fair comment. We have a lot of critiques of late Mao foreign policy. I think a lot of us go, oh look, this is not great. Khmer Rouge. I mean, bunch of things.
Sure.
I don't know if we can blame him for the Sino-Soviet split, right? Necessarily, I think that happened after him.
No, it started during Mao.
During Mao, okay. Yeah. It's hard to conceptualize now in our present day, but famine was common near. Okay, good comment. I'm gonna like that one. Good for you for taking the effort. I usually don't engage with stuff like this. Okay, he has another one. Here.
First, they came for the communists, like Hasan Piker. And by first they came for, I mean they came for him after they came for the trans kids. So, like, second, they came for the communists, like Hasan Piker. And we're also ignoring the Hispanic people that they came for. So, maybe third, they came for Hasan Piker. The fact that y'all want to say first they came for the communists, when this time, that was not the order, boo-boo. That wasn't the order. And this is very much not about Hasan, and the fact that you're centering Hasan shows me a lot about who you think are people.
Okay, so now Hasan has become a sort of, again, so it happened in phases. They vacillate in between Madeleine Pendleton and Hasan being the evil third-party advocate. However, I would say Hasan has harpooned and hooked into their brains more because he has more entree into the Democratic Party. He was at the convention during the last presidential election. Now he's speaking at the DSA. They're probably feeling frustration for sort of facilitating the DSA and the Democrats, the DCCC, for facilitating Hasan at all. But I would be hard-pressed to see how they wouldn't, being that he is a gigantically successful sheepdog for the fucking Democrats and progressive Democrats. We covered earlier, one of our earlier podcasts talked about Hasan like now blatantly endorsing congressional candidates and going on the road with them and doing speaking engagements and the Progressive Victory funded events and stuff like that. So like Hasan is now fully sheepdogging.
I get the frustration of this creator with what they're saying here. I can grok that. That's completely fair. You know what I mean? Especially as somebody, it's I could understand that, but I don't even know what this. I haven't heard anyone say that in our context lately, so I don't know who this is responding to. If that was a big thing going around,
you probably got a comment that first they came for the communists. And then he's like reacting to it, and he's like, well, in the American context, it was a little bit different. But
Sure.
I mean, the American context, first they came for the indigenous.
Yeah, if we really, yeah. I mean, let's face it. They're coming for black people, Latinos, communists, labor organizers, even soft socialists.
I believe in intersectionality, so I think that the first target is going to be a black, queer, indigenous person. Obviously,
absolutely,
they would be number one on the list. Obviously,
I always say that fuck, man, like black trans people, indigenous trans people are probably the most oppressed people in this country.
It's funny, people make fun of intersectional analysis, and it's funny, very, very briefly here, it's very interesting. I pitched an idea to Nico about doing a video contrasting immanent critique, intersectionality, and intercommunalism. I was like, that'd be very interesting to look at, to weigh out the different frame sets or whatever. So she's looking at, I'm like, yeah, just make that video for me. I mean, that's very interesting. Yeah. You could also do it. I forget what the fuck I was saying.
I don't know. I don't think I have anything particularly interesting to say about this video, though. It doesn't... I'm like, no, it's kind of fair.
But yes, but you see that there is now this anti-communist thing that is... it literally says, Hasanabi, both sides, blue MAGA. Or the thing. I don't know how blue MAGA. Are you not blue MAGA or what? Like, what are you? No, wait, that is why do you have a blue MAGA? You just maybe he is just an opportunist, huh? I see this is trending. Okay, so here's this one.
Mao Zedong didn't kill tens of millions of people. When people say that, they're thinking like he just slaughtered millions of people. What actually happened was he inherited a country via liberating a poor, extreme poverty-stricken peasantry with no central government and had to run a country from scratch and figure out how to take it from zero to the China that we see today. He fucked up one time and a famine happened. That's where the tens of millions of deaths come from.
Holy propaganda.
Are you aware of this guy, Asher Stein?
Only from this video.
Okay.
Could not make this shit up if I was held at gunpoint. You know, we all make mistakes. You forget your keys, you say you to the server, you force millions of farmer peasants into slave labor. You know, but he was just trying his best. I'm sure he didn't mean to confiscate all the tools and ban private farming. He definitely didn't know millions of his citizens were starving and yet export all the remaining grain overseas to project power abroad. And there definitely weren't 2.5 million Chinese that we know of who were beaten to death for failing to meet impossible quotas. And the consensus of historians can't be that this was one of the worst man-made disasters in history. Honestly, the only reason I'm willing to make dark humor about this at all is because I hope it gets more traction that way. If you want to see me debunk more of the political insanity you see on your feed, make sure you're following.
I have never even seen that claim. 2.5 million people beaten to death?
I've never seen that. And then the other one, it looks like his citation was a Wikipedia article, so I would also have to look into exports, which I admittedly do not have on the top of my head the knowledge to talk about. But I do think it's
very
insane.
Interesting because there have been sort of anti-com reactionaries in the comment section. Like, you know that they did that. You know that they commoditized stuff and then sent it abroad for money. You know that they did this and they like literally starved their population to send the money elsewhere to like help out other bloc countries. And I'm like, I don't know that. I don't think that would have been their policy, actually. No, I've never even seen liberals claim that. What are you talking about?
So the For Pest campaign and then the drafting of agricultural workers into industrial production were two of the biggest mistakes that exacerbated the Great Leap Forward famine. But there was a multitude of environmental conditions that people leave out, such as the Yellow River flood of, I believe, 1958, which over like 1,400 villages got completely destroyed. They lost tons of farmland. And then Utsa Patnaik, a Indian economist, in her research talks about 3 years of poor harvests due to droughts, floods, typhoons, so on and so forth. And somehow all of this just gets left out because it's, it doesn't fit your argument. If you're trying to blame Mao Zedong, you want to, pretend that stuff doesn't exist. But
you recently had a video debunking a lot of the claims of Mao. We'll throw that into the show notes as well, because it's like a short 6-minute video that I think concisely sort of debunks all the major talking points. And as far as the other ones here, I think he just fucking made it up. I don't even know. Like, I've never even heard like half those claims.
Well, also, yeah, collectivizing agriculture is a good thing, and along with collectivization, historically speaking, we've seen the mechanization and modernization of farming, which makes it possible for you to be able to feed more people, and that's the reason why the Great Leap Forward famine was the last famine in China's history. Outside of some shortages and shit like that, it wasn't perfect at first, but they put an end to like 1,000 years of cyclical famines, like an insane amount of famines throughout China.
They never had an issue growing sickles again. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, never. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So here's one last one.
If you talk to conservative white people in the South today about the Civil War, a lot of times they'll be like, well, there were like complicated economic issues, and they'll talk about like good slave masters and, you know, how like really they wanted like good for everybody. And it was just about states' rights, right? And for some reason, like the way that people talk about like how, you know, current people in China today, how they think highly of Mao really reminds me of that. The people who were there today, their parents weren't killed by Mao, and their parents didn't have to flee the country from Mao. Like I know people who are in the United States, who are United States citizens because their parents fled Mao. They do not think highly of Mao. And of course, remember that in China, education is controlled by the government. Like the curriculum that schools use has to be approved by the propaganda department of the Chinese Communist Party, and information is controlled by the government. Now, of course, it's not like North Korea. There is a lot more like flow of information there, but at the same time, like I presume that they're not exactly learning about like how bad authoritarian control of a bunch of people can be. I try to be like pretty neutral in China, although I really hate what they're doing to the Philippines right now, and like there's a lot of bad stuff to say about China, but it's like, you know, there's a lot of bad stuff to say about the United States too. And so like I don't, you know, I would hope that, like people don't think that I'm terrible because the United States is terrible. So I'm not trying to say anything bad necessarily about like Chinese citizens, especially because there are some Chinese citizens who don't like Mao, but also like why would you trust a source in China today over another source? One aspect of a conspiracy theorist is that they will never look at new information and let it change their minds, right? Like they will always like interpret new information as either like confirming their own biases, or they will say that like something's wrong with the information, like it's from a bad source. So, you know, for people who are like, no Western information can possibly be trusted, and the only sources of like, you know, Chinese information that can be trusted are ones that support my opinion, that's a conspiracy theorist.
Okay, so what the fuck? It's so very interesting that her as an American talking about the Chinese actions in the Philippines. Really? What have you looked at? You should look into the rape and murder of civilians around American Air Force bases or American military bases in the Philippines, and the recent deals that are sort of roping in Philippines to be vectors of profit for American defense contractors towards encapsulating and roping them into World War III effectively.
I don't like the framing of that video, and I'm not convinced when she says like, I'm not talking about all Chinese citizens, some of them don't like Mao, and it's like, okay, well, whatever type of, there like the long-term study from Harvard that shows like overwhelming support for the CPC, the newer Democracy Perception Index, a couple other polls show that the people of China largely support their government. So you are talking about the majority of Chinese people when you say that. Mao is revered in China. You know, I don't know, something about this strikes me as somewhat chauvinistic, possibly even xenophobic. And I'm not just saying that to shut down the conversation, but I just didn't like that video at all.
For people, like, for instance, everything that they said about the curriculum being approved by schools, so it is in Western democracies too. What are you talking about?
Yeah, all of my, you know where my textbooks came from when I was in school? Texas. Where they it's the crazy, and that all, I think all public schools, the curriculum is, you know, what we learn.
The Department of Education overlooks the curriculum. Yeah. And yes, schools are run by the government in China. Okay, are you saying that you went to like private schools of a reactionary nature or what? I'm not, like, what even is this? All of the claim, and yes, of course, yes, all, it's like survivors bias or whatever. Sure, all the ones that survived, like Mao, they weren't murdered. It's like, Yeah, that's like, what a fucking, like, how do you even rebut that claim? Like, okay, well, you know, is it possible that they also just like him because he wasn't that bad and you're taking at face value erroneous things about Mao?
Yeah.
And that the people who fled and wanted to fit in, matriculate and join the, or sort of the melting pot sort of affected American social tropes about Mao just to fucking blend in. You know what I mean? To make themselves more amenable to the reflexive liberal position in America.
That bit at the end about conspiracy theory and people not accepting new information that doesn't confirm their bias, it strikes me as ironic, because if this person had ever talked to a communist, we'd be happy to present evidence that Mao Zedong was not some evil monster who was just intentionally, you know what I mean, causing people to starve and doing this and that and killing everybody. We love to talk about that stuff, and we like to come at it from all angles and show people how that's not true. I would be willing to bet that this person would not accept a single fucking source from a communist, even if it wasn't directly related to the Communist Party of China.
Okay, so there we have it. Look, there's a new moral panic. Number one, against the ACP, probably deservedly or not, and then a second one brought on a resurgence, Red Scare 2.0. About Mao, not China, not domestic Chinese policies, 1950s era fucking collectivization missteps done by the PRC, attributed to one man, and therefore giving him legendary, horrific, autocratic status in a disqualifying way to scare Americans into not getting better Medicare or healthcare or something. I don't even know what the point of this is.
Just die. Yeah, fuck your chemotherapy and fuck your insulin. Just die, bro.
But I think what is interesting about this is taking at a cross-section, the establishment Democrats, the Republicans, and the progressive Democrats all had the same sort of reflexive reaction.
Yeah.
They all instantly took the great leap backward, if you will, into Cold War narrativism.
Yeah. No, I agree.
All right.
Yeah, the only thing I want to say is in response to what you said about the ACP, and I mean, yeah, if people want to engage in moral panic, that's fine. What I would say is not to falsely accuse people of things that they're not.
They're going to for people who are sufficiently progressive Democrat adjacent. It's a good enough slur. We have to expect that as we get more high profile, people are going to say offhand lazy weirdo shit about us. So lazy weirdos are going to do lazy weirdo shit. So I think that the worst thing that we can do is directly reply or to like breathe air into it and just keep on doing what we're doing, because weirdos are going to be weird.
I said this the other day. I think my work as Red Army Capybara on TikTok and my live streams and my blog are enough to everyone knows where I stand.
Correct. And everybody should go check those out. There's going to be in the link tree in the show notes for it. We're also going to have that video about Mao and debunking some of the claims about Mao. We're also going to throw a couple of links to these in here in the show notes. And that is it, everybody. Capy, say goodbye.
Yeah, guys, don't talk to cops. Don't do anything Capy wouldn't do. And have a good day.